What if one of the greatest empires in history began not with overwhelming armies, enormous wealth, or a magnificent capital, but with a small frontier community determined to survive and build something greater? The story of the Ottoman Empire is more than a tale of battles, sultans, and conquered cities. It is a story of vision, patience, discipline, faith, leadership, and the extraordinary power of believing that a small beginning can become a remarkable legacy. Within the broader experience of Islamic civilization, spanning nearly 14 centuries, the Ottoman rise offers a powerful lesson about how determination can transform uncertainty into opportunity. At the end of the 13th century, Anatolia was a land of political change, where established powers were weakening and new forces were emerging. In this turbulent environment, Osman and his followers established a small principality on the frontier of the Byzantine world. They did not possess the resources of established empires, yet they recognized something important. Difficult times can create openings for people who are prepared to act with courage and purpose. Their early success was not simply the result of force. It depended upon organization, alliances, military skill, strategic thinking, and the ability to attract people toward a growing political community. As the Ottoman state expanded, each generation inherited not only territory, but also responsibility. Leaders understood that lasting strength required more than winning one battle. It required building institutions, maintaining order, encouraging loyalty, and creating a sense of shared purpose. This is where the deeper lesson begins. History repeatedly shows that greatness rarely appears overnight. A powerful civilization is usually constructed through countless decisions that seem small when they are made. A leader chooses discipline instead of comfort. A community chooses cooperation instead of division. A generation chooses preparation instead of surrender. Slowly, those choices create momentum. The Ottomans continued expanding across Anatolia and into southeastern Europe, turning a frontier principality into an increasingly influential state. Their progress was not always smooth, and their path was filled with setbacks, rivalries, dangers, and uncertainty. Yet every challenge became a test of their ability to adapt. This is one of the most important lessons preserved by history. Strength is not the absence of difficulty. Strength is the ability to continue moving forward when difficulty appears. The Ottoman journey, therefore, invites us to look beyond monuments and military victories and examine the mindset behind their rise. They understood that opportunity often hides inside uncertainty. They recognized that a changing world could reward those who remained alert, organized, and courageous. And as their ambitions grew, one question began to emerge with greater intensity. Could this rising power achieve what once seemed impossible and challenge the mighty Byzantine capital itself? The answer would change the course of history forever. But before that destiny could be fulfilled, the Ottomans would face trials that could have destroyed a weaker state. Their greatest test was approaching, and the world had not yet seen the determination that would soon shake an ancient empire completely again. The moment of transformation arrived when the Ottoman state faced a challenge that seemed almost impossible to overcome. Constantinople stood behind enormous walls, protected by centuries of history and regarded as one of the strongest cities in the world. Yet the Ottoman vision had grown beyond survival. Under Sultan Mehmed II, later remembered as Mehmed the Conqueror, ambition was combined with preparation, patience, and remarkable strategic determination. The young ruler understood that courage alone could not conquer such a city. Success required planning, technology, logistics, disciplined soldiers, and the ability to coordinate an enormous campaign. The siege of 1453 became a defining moment, but its deeper meaning was not simply that one city changed hands. It demonstrated what focused preparation could accomplish when determination was supported by knowledge and organization. After Constantinople fell, the Ottoman state entered a new era. The city became the imperial center, and the empire continued expanding across 3 continents. Yet the real lesson for anyone listening today is much larger than military history. Every person faces a private Constantinople, a barrier that appears too strong, too distant, or too complicated to overcome. Sometimes that barrier is fear. Sometimes it is failure, doubt, financial hardship, disappointment, or the belief that past mistakes have already decided the future. History reminds us that walls look permanent only until someone discovers a way through them. The Ottoman rise was built through repeated effort, adaptation, and an unwillingness to treat obstacles as final destinations. Their leaders recognized that a difficult objective becomes more achievable when it is divided into practical steps. Their armies needed supplies, their administration needed structure, their territories needed stability, and their people needed a reason to believe in the future. This principle remains powerful today. A dream without discipline remains a dream, but a dream supported by consistent action can become a direction, and a direction followed long enough can become a transformation. The Ottoman experience also reveals that success creates new responsibilities. Conquering territory was only the beginning. Governing diverse populations required institutions, laws, economic systems, education, diplomacy, and administration. The empire's strength increasingly depended upon its ability to organize complexity rather than simply defeat enemies. That distinction matters because many people want the result of greatness without accepting the responsibility required to sustain it. They want achievement without patience, influence without discipline, and recognition without years of unseen work. But history rarely rewards impatience for long. The suspense of the Ottoman story is that their greatest victories did not guarantee permanent greatness. Every expansion created new challenges, and every triumph introduced new responsibilities. The empire could rise because it adapted, but it would later face moments when adaptation became harder. For now, however, its influence was growing rapidly, and the world around it was beginning to recognize a powerful new force. The lesson is clear. When preparation meets courage, impossible goals can become possible. But the next chapter would reveal whether the Ottomans could transform conquest into lasting civilization and preserve their remarkable legacy. The Ottoman story did not end with conquest. In many ways, that was where the harder journey began. Building an empire required more than powerful armies. It required vision, administration, economic strength, cultural confidence, and patience to govern people with different languages, traditions, and backgrounds. Over the centuries, Ottoman rulers expanded their influence across vast regions, while their cities became centers of architecture, learning, trade, craftsmanship, and political power. This is why the greatest lesson is not about territory, titles, or monuments. It is about becoming stronger through responsibility, learning from setbacks, and continuing when comfort would be easier. A meaningful life is built through choices repeated when nobody is watching. The Ottoman experience demonstrates the value of persistence. A small frontier state became an enormous empire because its leaders repeatedly looked beyond immediate limitations. The same principle can transform an ordinary life. What matters is what you do with the opportunity in front of you. The Ottomans also encountered internal struggles, external pressures, economic difficulties, political conflicts, and changing technology. Eventually, the empire declined and disappeared, reminding us that no worldly power remains permanent. This may be the most important lesson of all. Success is temporary when it becomes an excuse to stop learning. Wealth can disappear. Influence can fade. Institutions can weaken. Even the greatest empires can become memories. Therefore, the goal should not simply be to become powerful, but to become purposeful, disciplined, and capable of leaving something meaningful behind. The history of 14 centuries of Islamic civilization contains countless examples of people and societies confronting uncertainty, rebuilding after hardship, and seeking knowledge while navigating a changing world. The Ottoman chapter is one remarkable part of that larger historical journey. Its message is not that every person must conquer a kingdom. Its message is that every person can conquer something within themselves. Conquer hesitation with action. Conquer fear with courage. Conquer laziness with discipline. Conquer despair with patience. When failure appears, remember that failure is not always a final verdict. Sometimes it shows you where greater preparation is needed. The walls before you may look enormous today, but walls are defeated one stone, one decision, and one determined step at a time. Your circumstances may be difficult, but your response remains powerful. Do not underestimate what consistent effort can create over years. The Ottoman rise began with a small community facing a complicated world, yet their determination helped shape history. Let that remind you that beginnings do not need to be impressive to become meaningful. Start where you are, use what you have, learn continuously, remain patient, and keep moving toward a worthy purpose. History remembers empires, but your life will be measured by the character you build along the journey. Let your actions today become the foundation of a stronger tomorrow, and let your purpose remain always greater than your temporary obstacles. If you're benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.